Okay, tonight it's May 9th, 2022. It's just after 7 p.m. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started with announcements, open session, and public comments. Do we have any? Okay, we'll move on to administrative issues, starting with roll call. We have Allgaier, Aberdale, Annette, Coakley, and Pickard, and Will Sullivan, and David Stamatis. Next item is the approval of minutes of meeting from April the 7th. Go ahead and take a few minutes to refresh your thoughts on it, and then we'll be ready to entertain a motion to accept. Skip, Kevin, this is where you guys usually shine.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of the April 7th, 2022 Dredging Task Force minutes.
I second it.
Okay.
Nice job, Skip.
You guys are, what a dynamic duo. Okay, to the vote. Alfred.
Aye.
Kurt's missing. Kevin.
Aye.
Skip.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Chris. Aye. 5-0. Okay, next item is an update on the permit. And as we had indicated on the last call, and probably the one before that, the next big event, which we're awaiting, is really tied to the town meeting with respect to approving the transfer of the Hilda Trust into some type of official trust, I guess, for want of a better term. That's the latest update I have. Again, as a reminder, the town meeting is June 11th, so I expect that to be the next major event for us. Move on to the next item, 2022 dredging plans, and specifically.
Chris,
Yes.
Before you move on, we usually get an update regarding information from our engineer, our lobbyist, and the strategy end.
I think that is the update. Will, have you heard anything different than the town vote being the seminal event?
No, nothing different. Same pattern.
Have we met the entire obligation for mitigation that the Army Corps is requiring?
We won't know till that's submitted.
Submitted by whom?
After town meeting vote, when we submit that whole package.
Is the Army Corps telling us when that package is submitted, it'll be sufficient to meet their requirement?
Army Corps cannot say that until a package is submitted.
So
They-
I have a question.
And pre-authorize any type of mitigation until it's actually submitted and sealed. Or sent, I mean.
Go ahead, Alfred, you have a question?
Yeah, so we're going to have on the town meeting warrant the transfer of the Hilda Trust property to a trust. Do we know what the trust says we're allowed to do with the property, if anything, after we transfer it?
No, we're not gonna have Hidilta Trust transferred on the town. The town meeting is for the transfer of the other properties into the conservation trust.
Which properties would that be then?
I forget the lot numbers. They're the ones we keep going over and over, the two transfers.
I think it's the 18.5 acres that overlooks the Herring River.
So I guess my question is I'm being negative for discussion here, is if we transfer whatever we've got on the ballot, and that's not enough, at that point, we're gonna go back to town meeting and ask for more, where we believe that that was enough. You see my concern?
I do. I think we're under the impression that the 2 parcels will be enough and possibly just the 1. I know that's not a definitive response, but I gather that's been the gist of some of the previous discussions. Go ahead, Kevin.
So Hilda's not a part of this at all,
Not a part of town meeting.
but it's not part of the whole mitigation.
Oh, no, it most definitely is.
So why wasn't it included in town meeting so we'd have more than enough?
Because Hidilta does not have to go to town meeting.
How do you take a piece of
I don't
town
know.
property and put any type of a restriction on it without it going to town meeting? Is that possible?
We're not putting it into a conservation restriction.
So what are we do? How are we using it as a brownie point?
That it's supposed to be used and monitored for the usage that we said we were going to use it as by an independent group.
So we're taking a piece of town property, we're turning it over to a monitoring group?
No, we're not turning anything over. Nothing is being
I
turned over.
think the answer is we will be presenting it for mitigation.
I understand that, but if we're gonna do anything with this piece of property, how are the rest of the people in the town of Wellfleet going to know before, if it's to be signed off for mitigation and we lose some interest in it? If we are losing interest in it, I guess my concern is I'm really not sure where it's going.
Not going anywhere.
I thought it
No, I
was
didn't-
gonna be, that the Army Corps didn't want to do.
I'm sorry, you thought Army Corps didn't want to what?
We lost him.
Kevin, can you speak? I think you're frozen. Up. No, you're mute now. Kevin, you're on mute. I don't know. Joe, do you have to release him?
Yeah, I'm clicking and asking him to unmute. I think he's on
There he
now.
is.
There. Yeah.
I don't know how I got unmuted, muted. I thought that the Army Corps didn't want to deal with the town on Hilda, that it was gonna have to be either Audubon or Mass Fisheries that was gonna monitor it.
Yeah, no, their comments had to do with if it was a monitoring plan, not to be confused with whether Hilda would be a major component, maybe the only component of the mitigation. The Hilda is definitely part of the mitigation, as I understand it. The comment about independent had to do with if we go with a monitoring plan, they wanted the monitoring to be independent of the town.
Okay. And would that have to go to town meeting then?
I don't know the answer to that for sure.
You see where I'm getting
Yeah.
at is that why wasn't it all tied into one package, like Alfred said, where you present this big package of properties for mitigation and they get to pick and choose what they want?
Well, in a sense it is. I think what it is we're going to present both properties, Hilda and the, what I call the 18 and a half acres.
We need those
Is my
acres.
understanding, unless, Will, do you understand it differently than that?
No, we need that transfer of town property first at town meeting. Otherwise, we need to come up with something else. We need those actual acres, otherwise we need to go back to the table.
Will, is that the 18 and a half acres plus Hilda?
Whatever those two parcels are, plus Hidilta, but we need those two parcels to transfer first to be considered. Otherwise, we need to go back to the drawing board completely. This is the plan that was pretty much worked out by our lobbyist and congressional delegation to submit to the Army Corps in this exact staging.
Kevin, to answer your question, the 18 and a half would be submitted in addition to Hilda. Within Hilda, there's 110 acres that are intertidal, 110 of the nominally 168 or some number.
Right. No, I understand that.
Okay. Okay, our next item is 2022 dredging plans, and obviously the key to it is permit and funding both. And they're both, neither one of those is certain, but regardless, we'll have the construction bid package ready to go. Sometime this week, we're going to take the files from last year. We'll update them accordingly to reflect 2022 season, and also that the dredging will be performed in one half of area 2. So that'll be a pretty quick update, and we'll have that behind us. We also, just as a reminder, any modification on the dredging design to portray what gets done in area 2. We were successful in getting an SEC grant, so 80% of that cost will be reimbursed. So that's another reason we want to go ahead and get that behind us. Moving on to the state dredging program application. The application was submitted on April 14th at about 8:30 in the morning, and shortly thereafter, as in within 8 or 10 minutes, there was an email receipt and confirmation from the state just acknowledging that it was a successful submittal, electronically speaking. Future plans to reduce sedimentation, nothing particular. I did update the list just to show the current and or updated status on things. The main item on this list is actually the next item on the agenda also, which is the sand and the shoaling off the jetty. The RFQ is ready to go on that. Rebecca will post it when she gets back into the office, which should be on or about May 16th. We're asking for responses back somewhere around the end of June, recognizing that we can't award it till the new fiscal year, which will be shortly thereafter, starting July 1st. So that'll be the timeline for the RFQ for engineering services, identification of required permits, and actual submittal of the permit applications. And that's everything I had on the agenda tonight. Anything else?
I just had a question for Joe Aberley in terms of, I mean, it's not to switch horses in midstream, but did our lobbyists ever bring up the subject of talking to the Secretary of the Commerce Department, which is that Gina Raimondo, who is the governor, or was the governor of the state of Rhode Island and is now the Commerce Secretary under which NOAA resides?
Is that directed to me, Skip?
Yes, yeah.
I don't know anything about that.
I mean, okay, I was just wondering if you had talked to the the lobbyist about that particular connection, that's all.
No, I don't have communication with the lobbyist anymore. That has, that has been prohibited by the
Oh,
town.
okay. So who in the town is that?
The town administrator and Will, I would direct that question to.
Oh, so Will, do you know our knowledge of that? Did we ever contact the lobbyist about the Secretary of Commerce Department? The Secretary Gina Raimondo about our particular project?
I don't know all of our lobbyists' raise connections, so I can't say either way if that's one of his people that he connects with.
Okay, I was just curious, but I know it's water over the dam. But just
Yeah,
curious.
I mean, I don't know if his all of his connections are a given up source or not, but we can ask him.
I mean, it's somebody that's not like living out in Montana or something, it's adjoining state, and they have the same issues with dredging.
Yeah, I know that he works with people like Senator Markey's office and Sarah Peak and Julian Sear and Keating's office. I know he works with them quite consistently and very, very frequently. I don't know all of his contacts. I'm sure he's got a pretty broad reach, being the guy who seems to do a lot of this all over both coasts, or all of our coasts. But he seems to be pretty well in the know of people.
Well, maybe if we need a permit for some other dredging project, that might be some person in the government beside the Corps of Engineers.
Okay, next item on the agenda is scheduling our next meeting.
I got one question first. Can I-
Yeah, go ahead, Alfred.
I guess it's for anybody or Will. Dredging in front of, next to the L pier. Does that permit need to be energized at this point?
Yeah, we're renewing that.
Is that something that we can do in-house, or do we have to put that out for a bid?
No, we should be able to do that in-house. Hillary was working on it with us. Just to
Where
just re-up it.
where are we gonna put the dredge spoil?
Probably right on Max, where they have the picnic tables.
We don't have control over that anymore.
We most certainly do.
It says in that lease that we can use it when we need to.
That permit during those times, yep, we can certainly put the sand there during those permit times.
Even though we gave them a 1-year lease.
Yep.
I didn't think that it said that in the lease. I'll have to read it again. I could be confused though. I don't think that was in it when.
That was an issue Janet was going to follow up on. She pulled the lease. I've looked at the lease. I don't see anything in it that precludes us from doing it. But by all means, if you want to read the lease, go ahead and.
I did, but I don't think
see if you come up with a different interpretation.
I don't think it said in there that we had access to it for that, did it?
No, my interpretation is it's silent in either direction. It's been that way for years. I don't envision it to be a problem, but if you see something in the lease or elsewhere that you think truly poses a problem, we can chase that down.
I have a question. You said it's been that way for years.
We've been dredging and stockpiling there for years.
Yes, but I don't disagree with you. But at the point that the town of Wellfleet entered into a contract with MAC for a 365-day lease, I believe. I don't think in the lease it shows that we have the use of that. That is my concern. And if I'm incorrect, that's one thing. But if I'm correct, we got to make sure that the town of Wellfleet doesn't make that mistake again. make sure that, make sure the window is very short for the picnic table so that our window is still left into it. See my concern?
I do. In fact, I saw your concern the last time, which is why we did a little research on it.
I read I don't have it with me tonight, but I read it and I didn't feel warm and fuzzy about the fact that we could use it.
Okay. We can get an interpretation on that if you like.
I think
You know,
it's necessary.
from someone in either town administration or, if necessary, KP Law.
I think town council should tell us, because I really think that if we go to the state for this is my concern. If we go to the state to re-energize that permit and we don't have the place to dewater it, we can't use that permit unless we change the dewatering space, and there is no other space to the best of my knowledge. That's my concern. I'm not saying that Max shouldn't have the picnic tables. That's not my intention at all in this. It's just to make sure that I was very surprised that they gave him a 1-year lease. The lease should have been for the period of time that the picnic tables were there.
I'll flag it for Rebecca to seek an opinion.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I'm wrong. It's just that when I read it, I didn't get warm and fuzzy because I couldn't understand why they did it for a year.
Yeah. Again, I have a different interpretation, but that and, well, now it must be up to $3. I'll get you a cup of coffee.
Mine's no better.
I will request an actual interpretation.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, next meeting, I'd say there's no sense in having it before town meeting, so that takes us perhaps to June 13th or beyond.
Well, the 14th is after the 13th, so, and that's past the meeting, right?
The town meeting is June 11th, right?
Saturday.
Yeah. So,
June 13th?
well, my understanding on town meeting is it's June 11th, so I was suggesting that our next meeting be the 13th or later.
13th works for me.
Same.
Okay, that good for everyone?
Do a check. Roll call.
Okay, we good on 13th?
Yes.
Yeah.
With-
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, 7 o'clock, usual time. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.
On to the vote. Alfred,
Aye.
Kevin,
All right.
Skip,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Chris. Aye, 5-0. Okay, thank you, everyone.